Hey, Alex, if you're talking, you're on mute.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the second quarterly neighborhood leaders meeting for 2023. It's good to have everybody here. The city manager is not with us today. He has a conflict in terms of the meeting, so he's attending another engagement, and also the deputy city manager, Sam Sanders, is also out. And I'll be filling in for both of them. Again, I welcome everybody to this second meeting, and I've got a couple of updates from the city. And first of all, we've hired a new housing program manager, Antoine Williams. He's with us today. He started on May 1st. Antoine, can you introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. As Alex mentioned, I joined the team on May 1st. Excited to be here as your new housing program manager and look forward to working with each of you. And yeah, so glad to be on the team.
All right. Thank you, Antoine. He's going to be responsible for overseeing our housing program, the Affordable Housing Fund, implementation of affordable housing plan, along with related activities. The other good news we have here is that the City Council has hired a new city attorney, Jacob Stroman. He's going to be starting with the city sometime this summer. I don't know exactly the date, but we'll be glad to have him as quickly as possible. And finally, in terms of update from the city, I'm sure a lot of you will be interested in the zoning rewrite update. The city is working on consolidated draft of the all the discussions, all the planning related to this process, and it will also include a summary of all the public comments that will go to the City Council. And NDS expects to have this completed by end of July. And then subsequent after that, the adoption process will begin, which will perhaps go through the fall of 2023. And then hopefully the City Council will be able to adopt it, including the Planning Commission recommendation to the City Council by the end of this year. And I believe Missy Chrissy, the Deputy NDS Director, is with us. I'm not sure, Missy, whether you have anything to add.
No, you gave a good summary there, Alex.
Okay, all right. Okay, our next discussion is neighborhood map. We'd like to discuss that today. Maybe we continue it to another meeting. I just want to provide an overview why we are discussing a neighborhood map. Taylor, can you pull up the map now? Okay, this is the existing neighborhood map, planning map per se. And this is the map that NDS uses in terms of planning activities, delegation of responsibilities to the planning staff. And there has been a few questions that came up in the past, and then currently coming up again in terms of adding one of the neighborhoods to the map. And this map, when it was created, it was for planning purposes only. And there is no plan to change the map. However, we are proposing to create another map, or make sure, or perhaps modify this map for neighborhood leaders' purposes. In other words, this map will still be what it is and what is designed to serve or to be used as. However, we're going to have, we're looking at having another map that will be serving neighborhood leaders related purposes. And in line with what I just said, if anybody, there is a new neighborhood that would like to be added to this current map, we are expecting or requesting rather that the neighborhood association delineate what they consider the boundaries of that new neighborhood. And through action of the neighborhood association, either by resolution or through the minutes, indicating the designation of the boundaries and action by a majority vote or what have you, that this will be the boundaries of their neighborhood. And they can send it to us, and based on that, we'll add it to this new map. So that's what we are proposing going forward. And I'm gonna leave it at that and then entertain questions from the neighborhood leaders to see what your thoughts are.
Alex, this is Jay Scott. I want to make sure I understood what you were saying. You're saying that if there's a group within an existing neighborhood that wants to create a new neighborhood, that they would create their own association, and then the existing neighborhood would have a resolution to say, I'm not sure I really understand. I'll use Venable as an example.
This is, let me give an example. The Little High Neighborhood Association, I think they were created around 2016. They've been wanting to be part of, to be added to this map. However, this map was delineated or created rather for planning purposes. There is no plan to change it unless NDS decides, they want to make some kind of adjustment. So we are looking at a new map, and then we are asking Little High to provide some kind of actionable agreement in the form of voted resolution, or either a simple vote at their meeting, which will be reflected in a minute or through a resolution that the following are the boundaries of their new neighborhood, Little High neighborhood. And then we'll take a look at that and then see how we can integrate it to this new map we are going to be using for neighborhood activities. And secondly, if that neighborhood is already within a neighborhood, a delineated neighborhood, for instance, Greenbrier, then there has to be an agreement between the splitting neighborhood and the Greenbrier, what constitutes the boundaries. It's gonna be a complex process. I think it's going to be protracted as well, which was the reason why we didn't want to change the boundaries of the planning map. So that's how we are going to entertain the changes to the existing map.
So using your example of Little High, they were formerly part of Martha Jefferson, I think.
Yeah.
And so you now need a resolution from the Little High Street neighborhood, as well as a resolution from the Martha Jefferson neighborhood, agreeing on the boundaries of the two neighborhoods.
Yeah, in particular, yeah, that's correct. In particular, we would like to know first what Little High, is considering their neighborhood. And when we get it, then we have to talk to Martha Jefferson.
So would there also be the opportunity for the reverse? Like if a smaller neighborhood wants to become part of a larger neighborhood because they just don't have the number of volunteers to support their activity or things like that, is that also possible?
Yeah, that's possible, because that means the bigger neighborhood and the smaller entity, we have to get together, and then we get some kind of actionable resolution from them, and then we can make modifications to the map.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are you gonna be sending something out on this? Because I think we've only
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
two or three neighborhood people on here at most right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna be sending something out, and we also still need to flush this out a little bit, but I'll be sending something out to all the neighborhood association.
Hey, Alex, this is Carmelita from Fifield. I noticed that Orangedale was a separate association from Fifield, but we sort of kind of joined them in together. So this is going to include that also.
Yeah, if they are joined together, that's fine, you know, but if they wanna separate from Fifield, then we can consider that. But you see, the challenge to the neighborhood association, you know, that wants to split, you know, we'll be trying to come to a consensus in terms of the boundary lines.
Right, it's already, it was already split. It's just that once I became president of Fifield, I was already president of Orangedale. So we just, you
Okay.
know,
All right.
just made it one big neighborhood association.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can consider that, yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other question? Okay, you'll be hearing from us, you know, in terms of additional clarifications and how to move forward with this. With that, I'm going to turn it over to our grants program manager, Ms. Taylor.
All right, hello, everyone. I am Taylor Harvey Ryan, the Grants Program Manager. So I just wanted to make a quick announcement about some upcoming workshops that we are going to be offering from the Office of Community Solutions. We will be hosting a two-part webinar series, or not webinar, but grant workshop series. The workshops will be open to the public and they will be held in City Space. The first of the two workshops is a Grants 101 and pre-award activities workshop. And it's going to provide the basics of grants, like what is a grant, what are they good for, those kinds of things. And then it will also provide an overview of the grant programs that the city offers, which does include the CAF, HOPS, CDBG and Home, and Vibrant Communities Funds. And for that overview, we will provide a tentative timeline for when you can expect to see those applications and when you can expect to see the awards or the announcements from the review process of those applications. There is a link on the flyer that we will send out so you can reserve your spot. We do ask that you use that reservation link so we know how many folks to expect, because it is an in-person session, and we will provide like a light breakfast before we start. And then since this is the first one of the webinar series, there will be a second one, and it'll be held in October. It'll be October 10th, and we'll talk about the post-award activities related to grants. So for this reservation link, you can register for one or both of the sessions using the same link.
And are these grants for, are individuals eligible for these grants? Can you tell us a little bit more?
Oh, yes. So for these grant opportunities, these are for like nonprofit organizations typically. And so like the CAF is the Charlottesville Affordable Housing Fund.
So it's what you do with it. Okay. Right.
Yeah, and so there are some people who should invest and take risks and gamble, and those.
If you wouldn't mind muting yourself.
Soldiers who should fight and kill people if they're moral.
Can you mute yourself? It look like somebody is talking in the background.
Okay, I think we got it.
Okay.
So my apologies. Let me restate that. So these programs are for organizations or entities to apply for these funds that will then be distributed. Okay, did that answer your question?
Sorry, we got another jumble. Hey, Dennis or Nina Barnes, could you all mute, please? Dennis or Nina, could you all mute so we could, thank you. All right, sorry, could you repeat that last piece?
That is okay. So these are for nonprofits or organizations to apply to the city for use of these funds for individuals. So you could be applying for housing assistance to be provided to individuals, whether that be rental assistance or down payment as homeowners, homeowner assistance, those kinds of things.
Thank you.
No problem.
Are there any questions for Taylor regarding the affordable housing funds? Okay, before we move to item number 5, which is department responses to the prior questions submitted for this particular meeting, I just want to acknowledge we have several city department heads and city staff. The Public Works Director is here with us. Stacy Smalls, the Police Chief, Chief Coaches is here with us. The City Engineer, Mr. Dawson is here. NDS Deputy Director, Missy Chrissy is here with us. Our Grant Program Manager, Housing Program Manager, and we have Jonathan Dean from Public Works. So all these folks are designed to provide additional feedback to the responses provided to the questions, which was distributed ahead of this meeting. So if anyone has any questions, either related to the responses in the document you received, either related to Public Works or public safety, the comprehensive plan and zoning rewrite, you are free at this time to ask your questions. We have folks here who will be glad to respond to your questions.
Hey, this is Carmelita from Fifield. Is there anyone there for transportation?
That's correct. We have Public Works is here.
Okay. I was just wondering if there was going to be any route changes in Fifield coming anytime soon.
The
Route
route
changes.
changes to our transit system is transit. So we can take your question and then get that to the transit department. But what was
Okay.
the question again?
I was just wondering if there were going to be any transit changes in Fifield. I guess want to say the regularity of the transit system, more options or more regular transit routes. I guess I want to say, I can't think of the word right now, but
Yeah, I
But
think
more increased.
there you go. Yes, thank you. I couldn't get it. Sorry.
We'll make sure we get your question to the transit department.
Thank you.
It's
Especially Route 6.
Okay. All right. Ms. Woods, let me ask you, have you guys, your neighborhood association, have you made a formal request in the past?
We've talked maybe a few years ago about going back to the every half hour. Or at one time there were 2 routes to and from. It was half hour. We had talked. That's been about maybe 3 or 4 years ago, or maybe about a year after it changed.
Okay. All right. Like Mr. Small said, we definitely make sure that the transit director gets this information. Any other question?
We have a question from Price Springs. Apologize, I did not get the questions in ahead of time, so it won't surprise anyone. I'm just curious if there's any updates on the 2 pending projects. Well, not more than 2, but primarily the barricade sidewalk at the corner of Stribling and JPA. Is there a status update on that?
I'm sorry. This is Jack Dawson, the city engineer. What was the first, you said the sidewalk at JPA? in
Yeah, there's
Strickland?
the sidewalk is barricaded due to a leaning retaining wall. The owner and the city have been going back and forth for many years about the ownership of that wall. I know that it has gone to the city attorney at least once or twice. I'm just kind of curious if there's an update on when those barricades can be removed.
I believe Jonathan, our public service manager, is on here and maybe he can speak to that. I know that they're looking into doing some maintenance there.
And I'll chime in a little bit more on that as well. So with all the different retaining walls within the city, we plan to go with that listing to the newly hired city attorney to help determine some of the different responsibility, who's responsible for what. Once we're able to do that, according to our current inventory, we have over 700 within the city. And so each one of those has to have a disposition added to that. Once we are able to get that determination, then we'll be able to address it in kind. But of course, if something becomes a life safety issue, then we'll do something a little bit sooner than before we can get an official a ruling to protect life and safety from the city attorney. We'll act before that. But Jonathan, if there's anything additional that I missed out, you can chime in. But right now we're looking to work with the newly hired city attorney to be able to give us some disposition on those over 700 retaining walls within the city.
Yeah, Stacy, the only thing I would add is that location is on our priority list. Once we get that legal input in, that'll be one of the first that we address. And we apologize for the duration of the barricade installations, but we did put those in place just due to the safety concerns that were present there.
Understood, and the neighborhood does appreciate that. Regarding the life and safety, the life and safety risk is that currently pedestrians are pushed out into traffic to circumnavigate the barriers. So that is the issue right now. So thank you for the update. Secondly, is there an update on Stribling Avenue design or the pedestrian improvements?
We are working right now with our limited project management staff to try and possibly submit that for a grant. I don't know that we're going to be able to do that for revenue share. That process closes soon. But after that, we are trying to onboard some project managers, and that is the first one in the queue. The funds are available. So hopefully we'll have more to report on that at the next meeting or in the short term.
Wonderful. Thank you for the update. And again, we want to support this.
To add a little bit on to what Mr. Dawson said, I just did the approval for 2 additional project managers. So once those individuals, like what Mr. Dawson, the city engineer, said, once those individuals are onboarded, then we'll be able to put more resources toward that. So I just wanted to add to it that we just approved the hire. So they still have to go through the onboarding process to get into the city and then start the work.
Awesome. Sounds like the wheels are turning. Thank you all for those updates and good luck with with building your team. Let us know how the neighborhood can support that effort. If we've offered before to offer venues for getting feedback as the design progresses. I know that the designers NDS had stated that they were looking to do some creative stuff and happy to support that.
I'm pretty sure that as part of the city's engagement process, once the design kicks off, the neighborhood association and residents will be informed, and then we provided opportunity to engage.
May I ask a question? This is Joan Fenton on the downtown mall. While we're talking public works, is there any move to repairing the crossings on the downtown mall that are in total disrepair?
So that's a little bit more complicated. I just came back.
Oh, I know it's complicated.
I just came back from a downtown mall meeting where a group of personnel, business leaders, and city officials when they're talking about different aspects of the mall. So side streets, part of the mall, and there's some shared responsibility between Public Works and with Parks and Recreation. There, to know what particular crossing you're talking about, that would kind of help us to be able to go and take a look at what the specific issue is. And then we can probably get a different type of fix according to what the different issue is. But if you can help us out with that, what the particular crossing is and the particular issue, we'd be happy to go take a look at it.
Fenton, do you have a list you can send us?
A list would help us, yes.
Hey, hello, everyone. Real quick, this is the chief. I have to run to another meeting. I didn't know if anyone had anything just quickly that where I can set up a second meeting or something.
Is the police chief that is speaking, just in case. Any question
Yeah,
from
this
him
is,
before he leaves?
Yeah, this is Carmelita Wood in Fifield. Chief, I met you before.
Hi, Carmelita.
How you doing? I'd like to set up a meeting. We had some questions and concerns about the trail that we've implemented in Fifield. So I can send you my times that we can chat on the phone about that.
Do you still have my number? I think you have my cell. You can.
Yeah,
give me
I
a call.
do. Yeah,
Give me
yes,
a-
I do.
yeah, Send me a text and we'll set up a phone call where we can talk or we can meet or something.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yep.
Hey,
Anything?
Chief Kojis, are you available to come meet with neighborhood associations just to introduce yourself and answer questions?
Absolutely. I've gone to several. So yeah, if you want, just send an email to chief@charlottesville.gov.
Okay.
And my assistant Jessica will coordinate that and set that up. But yeah, absolutely. I've been attending many of them. So
Okay, thank
more
you.
than happy to.
Any other question for chief before he leaves?
The one thing that was in the packet with the question about just about staffing related to increased density and population and stuff like that. That's obviously something we always will look at as that occurs. We're typically part of that conversation. So, but from what I understand right now, we really just don't have that data at this point.
Okay. Any other
This is
question?
Joan again. Yeah, I'm sorry, I got totally cut off. I lost my signal. I was specifically talking about the 4th Street crossing, which at the mall is, falling apart. You've got the, I guess they're stone or fake stone pavers that are collapsing in, and it's just, it's been in disrepair for several years.
Is that the only area that needed attention?
Rebecca put 2
both-
in the comments in the chat. There's 2 things listed in the chat, Alex.
All right.
Okay, well, I'm gonna run, but thank you everyone, and Carmelita, look forward to hear from you.
Okay, we will extract that. Any other question?
One more from Jay from Fry Springs. Johnson Elementary is, I think, on their 5-year update for their classroom furniture. And some residents were upset that the furniture was all being thrown out in a dumpster. And since the city does, I realize I think the city does a lot of facilities work for the schools, but in that procurement contract, if there could have been coordination with Habitat Store or other reuse reclamation services, that would be better use of tax dollars and meeting our carbon and environmental goals than throwing out all the furniture.
What
And
school?
where
That was
the
Johnson
furniture?
Elementary.
Which school again?
It was Johnson Elementary.
Okay,
Again, this was second, when people were asking about it, the secondhand answer was this was a 5-year refresh on their classroom furniture, and that's kind of a standard on their maintenance plan. But if it is planned for, it could also be planned for reclamation or reuse.
Okay, we'll make sure that that information and request gets to the school board. Any other question? All right, hearing none. Our next meeting will be on Thursday, September 21st. And if anyone has any item that you would like to have expanded discussion on regarding the city, please feel free to send it to me. I will make sure it gets in the agenda. And with that, we can go around now and do the neighborhood roundtable discussion. So if you have anything happening in your neighborhood, activities, festival, or project, or any recognition or what have you, please feel free to share it with us. Don't be shy. I'm not gonna call names.
At Venable in April, on April 22nd, after a long hiatus due to the pandemic and other things, we finally had another community, reinstated our community gathering and had a sort of a spring fling down at Venable School. Had a large inflatable slide and lots of games. Sadly, it poured rain, but we were able to move everything into the gym. But then it cleared up. The fire department was there with a big fire truck and several representatives. The police department had a representative there. Neighborhood Development Services had somebody there answering questions. It was great. They were there the whole time. We had, despite the weather, had a really good turnout. Gave out, I don't know, about 15 pizzas and 75 Chick-fil-A sandwiches and a variety of other stuff. And it was nice to get everybody back together. We also, a number of you all probably met with the university's architect in a meeting, I guess, in late that following week. I think it was April 26th. It was interesting. We talked about the impact of student housing, at least in the Venable neighborhood, and how in the university is talking about building some affordable housing. And we pressed them a little bit on building more student housing, not just affordable housing, because as the university grows, they need to house more students because it's been putting a lot of pressure on the Venable neighborhood and Lewis Mountain neighborhood and others in terms of what's affordable, because the highest rent in Charlottesville right now is on Grady Avenue. It's student housing. I remember when I was growing up, Gordon and 14th Street and 15th Street were full of family homes that are now been overtaken by student housing. And it was interesting, the university's sort of pushback on it is like they really want to house all first year and second year students, but they haven't been able to figure out the economic model to build the additional dormitories for the additional 2,000 beds or whatever it is they need. And I guess my question to the city is, has the city ever thought about doing a partnership with the university to contribute towards student housing with the incentive of freeing up more affordable housing within the city? If the university says they can't build more student housing because they can't figure out the financial model, if the city could use some of their affordable housing model to help the university build more student housing and thereby free up housing within the city that could become affordable housing. Has there ever been any exploration of that concept?
Couple of things. I think it's a good thing that the university is now turning around in terms of investing in student housing. On a related note, the city is also, even though the city is not directly investing money in student housing in cooperation with UVA, but the city is working with private developers that are seeking either rezoning or special use permits approvals, to build student housing around UVA. There are a couple of projects going on right now, going through a preliminary discussion with the Planning Commission. Those are going to spur or rather create more student housing units around UVA. And secondly, the North Fork, which is around the airport, it's a huge amount of land owned by UVA. I think it's designated originally as a research park, but I think UVA has changed its stand on that particular research park to include a mixed-use development, which will have a huge housing component to it. And I believe the housing component will include student housing and employee-based kind of housing. And then that will be supported by probably UVA and public transportation. So yeah, there are some discussion, some collaboration in that direction.
It just seems like there are more opportunities for the city to cooperate with the university to help solve the housing problem. The students create a huge burden on the local neighborhoods.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. All right. Another question. That was a great question.
Looks like Rebecca has her hand up.
Yes, hi, I'm with North Downtown, and I wanted to, two things. One, appreciate that y'all worked it out, or for Parks and Recs, when they've got their watering truck making rounds to water the Circle Garden there at Park Plaza and Parkway Street. But I do note that about a week and a half ago, our volunteer who maintains that park wasn't sure that the truck had actually made it. So she may be calling in. But mostly, I mean, we'll try to follow up with Parks and Rec on that. But mostly I wanted other people to know. The issue is it's a little circle park that is city owned, but North Downtown maintains it. We get either we pay or we get some donated plant material or mulch. But some nearby neighbors had been allowing us to use their water. And we kind of went back through some old recollections that we didn't dig into old boxes. But yeah, this was part of a little city-funded project for us to get that going years and years ago. And so we said, well, you know, when the city's watering other public gardens and planters and whatnot, we asked that they stop by and water that area also. So the cost burden doesn't fall on just two of our generous neighbors.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Any other questions or feedback? One more time, any other questions or feedback? Look like we're going to get off early today. Again, I'd like to thank the neighborhood leaders at the meeting tonight. And we have a recorded meeting, and some of the requests we'll funnel it to appropriate city department for responses. And our next meeting will be again September 21st, 2023. And at that time, hopefully we'll have our new city attorney on board, and the city manager and Sam or Ashley. Hopefully they will be at the next meeting. In the meantime, if you can think of anything you would like us to discuss at the September meeting, please feel free to give me a call, or you can email it to me. And then if you want to talk, we can discuss that before we place it on the agenda. And with that, I'd like to wish everybody a happy coming weekend. And for those of you that are going on vacation, enjoy your vacation, and we'll see you again in September. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.